in multiple ways. Now, even after we say that the total station is has so much use and so much what you can say versatility and everything, two things we need to understand when we use the total station. The first thing is that the total station has to be calibrated once in 6 months or once in a year, depending upon the manufacturer's norms. Now, this is essential because over the period of time, it tends to lose the leveling part or the software update is required. So, once in a year, you need to calibrate the total station. This is very much essential when you are doing setting out work. That is the center line marking of columns, footings, and everything, even the base plates and foundation bolts. For contour, it can be little bit okay because then you are not really much worried about the level difference of a centimeter here and there. But for setting out, it is absolutely necessary. Secondly, whenever we are doing any kind of survey with the total station, we need to understand that the recording of the data, what we are collecting, though the total station records everything as a data, still at times when normally there is a shift of total station, that is when one work of a particular station is over, and then we are shifting to the next station, and the first step after leveling and temporary adjustment is orientation, which is very important. So when this orientation is being done, then we need to what when we do it with a plain table, you can always see it physically on the drawing. There is no problem with orientation for control for coordinates with for dumpy level or auto level. But with total station, we need to write down the coordinates of that back orientation. Now, why they are required? Because whenever now, if you go by the procedure on site, then the total station is set, the temporary adjustments have been done, and a person is standing at the previous station point with that target rod prism in exactly plumb position. Now you have to bisect that and you have to take the reading till you get it correct. Now, when you take these readings, you have to see that you are getting exactly the same coordinates as the coordinates of earlier when we have set up that station earlier. So that way it will help us to understand if there is any error in the work. Many a times it so happens that the numbers are interchanged. I mean, when we say that we are taking, suppose we are shifting the station from 5 to 6, for station number 5 to station number 6. So the backside should say that backside on 5 from 6. But at times, even if we say that, the coordinates are interchanged. So the drawing gets rotated by almost about 180 degrees. So if you write down these coordinates, and it becomes very easy to understand where it has gone wrong. Now, as you can see, the whole data is downloaded and compatible with AutoCAD. So whenever data is downloaded, if any particular station's work has gone wrong, then you can always correct it, or you can just remove it from that particular entire data, and you can correct it, or you can do that work again. So that is only possible if you are maintaining the data in the notebooks very correctly. So that is one aspect of using total station and the data maintaining the data what we are collecting. Because the person who is sitting in the office doing the drawing on AutoCAD from the data generated by the total station, he is not much aware of these things on site. So if anything like this happens, one more thing we need to take care that as everybody knows that the target rod is starting from 1.3 meter, which is a minimum height, to say 2.15 or 2.5 meter height. So whenever we are taking levels or whenever we are doing the orientation, normally when we mention the height in the total, when we feed the height in the total station, it is normally by default 1.3 when we do the orientation. I mean, it's not very standard, but the less the height, then the plumb is properly maintained. If you do it with a 2.5 meter or 2.15 meter height, it is difficult to maintain the plumb for that particular height of the target rod. So it is difficult to get accuracy as well. So you have to maintain the height as much as minimum as possible, and also it should be properly visible. Then, when you are doing, suppose after that the orientation is done, machine is set, and you start working for that particular station. So then you go on taking the levels, you go on collecting the data. So whenever this data is collected or the levels are collected, sometimes due to the obstruction in visibility, the height of the target rod may increase. You can ask him to increase the height of the target rod, and then he can increase it accordingly, and then you take the reading. At that time you must take the exact height from the rodman or the assistant or the labor, whatever we call it, and that should be changed in the machine before we store the data. So otherwise then the levels will go wrong, and you will not understand what exactly has been the problem. So when we if suppose it so happens that you could not change the height, but you know that these 5 6 7 points you are taken with a different level, at least mention that in the notebook, so that we can just correct those levels. We can apply the difference plus or minus depending upon the height, and we can correct those levels in the drawing when the drawing is downloaded. So again you can see the versatility and utility of total station here also. So every till time you are, if you are using the total station and noting the data properly, you can correct it at different stages also. So that is one aspect, one good aspect of total station. The calibration part is very essential, and it should be mandatory and should be religiously followed, because that is what will keep the, what you can say, the accuracy and sanctity of the using of total station. Now, as you are aware and you have been listening to many other advanced survey techniques, you can see that total station work. I mean, as we start with total station, we say that the earlier instruments were very slow, not very accurate, and required much amount of skill. With total station, these things have been partially removed. I mean, these assumptions have been partially removed. The total station can be very accurate, very fast. Again, it's a relative thing. When you compare plain table with total station is really faster. If you compare it to total station with drone, it becomes very slow. If you compare drone with the lidar, the drone is very slow. So likewise, these things are relative. But at the end of the day, we must understand that by whatever technology we collect the data, when we need to implement it on ground, the total station is as on date inevitable, unless they start constructing building with a 3D printer. So till that time, total station is definitely going to be of use. And as you can say, the more and more accuracy of total station. Say nowadays, now we are using the total station of say 1 second accuracy. List count is of course 1 millimeter, 1 second in angular and linear measurement. But then there are total stations also with a robotic, what you can say, robotic use. So you don't have to stand at total station. It will just rotate, detect either or target rod and collect those points. So that is also possible. But human intervention is very much essential, because um, if the data is going to be processed and further used during the course of the construction of project, then that intervention is very much essential, because then it will keep tab on how the work has been done. It will cross check how the work has been done, whether there has been any error or not, or something like that. Maybe there are methods, and there are ways and procedures to correct these things in advanced machines as well. But again, you cannot replace the work of a person. I mean, the human intervention, as we call it, and the interaction or the coordination of the operator and the machine, it will give you best possible results. So using total station in that way, these things are very essential to follow during the course of the work. Now when now, as all you as a teacher or faculty members, whenever we are doing any total station practicals, this if taking a total station, taking a control point by total station, back orientation, these sort of things are very essential that everybody should understand and should practice these things. Collecting data by with total session is definitely a task, and it is a continuous task. But these things, that is setting up or establishing a total station control point and back orientation, are the very backbone and very essential parts of the for the accuracy of the entire work. So these things should be properly practiced, Even if you can say the assignment of a say traverse survey, what we normally do in every college, in those traverse surveys you can have the total station so traverse survey and accurate check the accuracy of the work by collecting the data by everybody. So in your while working with total station, the importance of an operator and a helper. Now there is always a team of two members, as you understand. One is the operator and one is the person who gives the data. Now the main person, or you can say a little bit technical person, is the operator, because he is operating the machine and he is collecting the data. But the person who is holding the target rod should also know what points he has to give and how the data needs to be collected, because the operator at times may be far away from him and he may not be able to guide the helper properly, the target rod person. So when these total station practicals, or when these total station studies or total station is been taught in the colleges, the emphasis should be given on the operator as well as the helper. I mean, whenever a brief for the survey is given from an says, if I give a brief to my total station operator, I request all the target rod members also to be present there while be giving the brief to that particular operator. Now, so that they understand the how he is going to conduct a survey and what is the data he is going to collect. So if they work in proper tandem and they work in proper coordination, then this data is properly collected, and effectively you can also spend less time as compared to otherwise. So likewise, total station, once we start using total station, these things are very essential. As as every time when we start a practical, we normally used to give information about that machine, how it works, and how what are the advantages, and likewise. So these are academic purposes, and the academic literature is always there. But nowadays when we are going out in the field, we normally find that the person who is coming out of college is hardly compatible with the challenges of the site. Not even the challenges, I would say the procedures of the site. And he just taken back by the size of the site, or suddenly he feels that the responsibility regarding that work, but that is something which we really cannot teach in the colleges, taking up the responsibility of that for that particular work. So if it is well practiced, if he's he is well aware of the total share utilities and he has practiced it well, then he can be at ease while starting any work on site. So that is also one aspect of when we say for training or for teaching any instrument, the total session particularly. And then he also should understand that the data collection should be in such a way that it becomes easier for the person who is sitting in the office to generate the drawing from that data. So again, if we see that when we are conducting a practical in a college, if they collect the data, it is not really standard thing that you have to collect in certain manner, but you should use some common sense to collect data in certain manner, so that it becomes easier for you also to understand how the points have been taken at a later date, and it is easier for the person who is working on AutoCAD to join them and to draft them to into something what you have collected. So this is how the total station work will start. We really cannot give any sort of a practical or total station setting out in colleges, but contour, traverse, L section, cross section, like we do for all other things, are very much possible. So as we call it, hands-on experience. If we find a way so that the students are assigned to some of the agencies for a week or so, just to understand how the people work in the field, then they get a fair idea and fair confidence also for when they start going out and working with total station. This is a very precise and accurate and very useful instrument, so it should be made Every possible way it should be made use should be made of the total station, so that uh, maximum utilities, maximum output is you get from this total station. Now one aspect of drawing, as I told you the other day, we'll be discussing today, is location of the plot and the site shown to you, and it is not directly related to total station, but this is something I would like to share just to make everybody understand that how why it is very important. Now as I told you the other day, that this you can see is the Google image, and on this Google image we have superimposed a village map. Now, how this village map can be superimposed? Now, you can see here, you cannot get really 100% accurate thing, but you can see here these lines are matching with these field lines. Then the shape and sizes, you can see it here also. The lines are matching. Then this is a normally village boundary, shiv as they call it in Marathi. Then you can see it here also. This is the shape and size which is matching, and then once this is fixed, then you can have the coordinates of the each and every point once you shift the Google image to those coordinates. What I'm trying to show you here is that this is for a sugar factory in a certain area. Now we were tasked to check whether the this you can see is the land purchased or land holding by everything. The hatch area is that land, and then we were supposed to tell them that whether the factory is really within the same numbers, survey numbers and gut numbers, or is it not in those survey numbers or gut numbers. So we don't have to go to site every time. So this is what we have generated. Now you can see it here. Now you can see it here. I'll show it on this. Now you can see this is the premises of that entire sugar factory, and the main building itself is not in the in not in their not in no, is outside what they are purchased. Now this 458 and 444 number, if you can see, those are the numbers which are not with the sugar factory, and the sugar factory itself is in that area, the main building. So these things happen. So whenever we are going on site to check or to collect the data at certain stages in the village area, may not be in the urban areas, but in the village areas, then you need to check whether I mean, you need to discuss with the client to ask them whether they are sure about whatever land they are holding, they are possessing, whether it is the same land they have purchased or not. Now, this can happen for a new project. Unfortunately, this has been going on for years. This sugar factory is in working and in condition and working properly. Nobody has so far bothered them. But sometimes when you go to the financial institutions for any kind of loans and all those things, then they want to know whether what is your holding, how the land is spaced, and what would be the valuation for that land. So for all these things, you need to have these kind of data. I mean, the what you can say, the survey number maps, the village map, the Google image, and combination of all these. And then again, you have to take those things. Now here we are not asked to do a survey on the ground, which will happen at a later stage. But at least they know. Now again, I will tell you, this is not 100% accurate. It is very close to accuracy. Say 90-95% accuracy is definitely there. So at least you have the first impressions about your site. Now I like just like this, I will show you one more site which has gone wrong. Now again, as you see the total session surveys or any surveys, now we normally ask who are the clients. So the client can be the owner himself, the financial institutions, the valuers, the architects, the company owners, anybody can be your client. Now, in this particular case, this was the land. You can see this brown color land. this was shown us as the land of that particular person, and then he was supposed to take a loan from the bank, and for that loan he has kept this land as a mortgage. We have taken these points, then we came back, and when we superimposed the village map and then find out the number what they have given us, we found that this land is here, this green line and cyan color line. So you can see that person who was supposed to take some loan from the financial institution was giving the wrong land as a for mortgage. And if the person sitting in the financial institution does not look after it, then he is likely to get different land which he just cannot, what can say, cannot liquidate at a later date if the things go wrong. So this is how the things are when we do a survey, and these are the things which we also should make students aware of, that these things they should check, these things they should ask, these things they should work out with the, not every time with the total station, but nowadays total station and handy GPS or the DGPS. So all these things are part of the survey, and as you go deep and deep, then you understand it is not just the topographical survey or not just the setting out of the survey. There are so many aspects to a survey for of the any particular piece of land. Now I will show you the data generated by total station. Just a moment, let me just check the drawing. Okay, now a properly done survey and properly taken readings can show the features on site very precisely. So again, total station, when we say we are working with total station, we get accuracy and everything, but the collection of data, I mean the raw data. Nowadays, you get software for generating grid, you get software for generating contours, working out levels and everything. But unless you have the data, the raw data in abundance means when we say that the grid for this particular site is say 5 meter by 5 meter or 3 meter by 3 meter, then you should take as much readings as should be if you cover that area with 3 meter by 3 meter grid. So if those many readings are there, then only you can generate the contours properly. Again, when we are working with these softwares and the total session data is generated, we should ask the people, we should ask the students, or we should ask the person who is using total station to collect data which is more close, closer than the usual along the along the boundary of any plot. Now, why it is required to collect the data at close, very close along the boundary? Because when the contours are generated with the software, and then when you trim those contours, then the contours should end properly there. Because every time you cannot really go beyond your plot and collect the readings. So if it is not possible, then the readings along the boundary should be at closer interval than normal than what you are doing for the rest of the plot, so that you get proper contours there, and those contours can be trimmed when you generate the contours, and the contours are generated for a bigger area than your plot. So you have to trim those contours, and then once you trim those contours, then only you can get show it with some identification. Now here you can see this nala, or this water body which has been generated, how exactly they have constructed an earthen dam, a small dam here, and how the water is generated on this side. Then again it has gone up here, you can see here, and this is again a small hillock. So these features are exactly how they are on site. So again, this total station, now you can see the road taken here. Now this road, you can see they need to show they wanted us to show the access, all possible access to the site. So we have to collect the road which is far beyond the plot and collect those levels as well, because if they want to purchase the land in between, then they should also know the access points. So this is how a survey data is represented and can be very well related to the site. Now one more aspect of survey I would like to discuss with you. Again, as I shown you in the earlier mail, you can see, this is a village map which is again superimposed on the Google image. Now what is the this is a now how we have superimposed this, you can see here, this is the points we have collected for this village boundary. So they are fairly, we are getting close to the boundary, so we can say that this is okay. Again you can see the here the ridge line which is following this line, this profile, and the actual line is just next to that. Now when we are working with this working with different people and different requirements, when we superimpose the village map on Google image, and when we identify it, and you can see the this is highlighted area is the plots which have been purchased by the my client. Now how this helps in understanding the site, one more thing is there. Now nowadays you must have been familiar with the along with the construction, a lot of plot layout is being done everywhere, and people are purchasing plot and they are doing the NA plotting and all those sort of things. Now, when the client comes to you and he asks, he says that I have these many numbers of gut numbers of land, and then we need to ask him whether these lands parcels are connected to each other or not, and whether they have an access to the plot. Because even if you have a land parcel at anywhere and you don't have an access, then it is absolutely of no use. So you should ask them to know whether they have an legitimate access to that plot. Secondly, what are the number of plot, when number of gut numbers or seven numbers, whatever they provide you, you have to check them on a village map whether they are connected or not. Now, if they are not connected, then the same thing can be suggested to client as to which survey numbers he should pick. So the land parcel becomes a continuous land parcel. Secondly, he can also strategically decide as to which land he can purchase in future. So that based on this availability and the entire configuration of these survey numbers or gut numbers. So likewise, these things can be of use, can be generated with the survey, and he can this strategic planning, even you can say the phase wise purchase or the phase wise development, everything can happen with these kind of data. Now this is not essentially a total station data, but this will form the very base for the total station survey. So unless you know this land, unless you see how the features are, even you cannot go to the site and suddenly you realize that this site is not workable. So this basic work which has been done in the office, irrespective of any use of machine, by just using Google Map and the village map, will help you immensely to visualize the site, to understand how you are going to work on the site, and how you are going to execute your work. So conduct, you are going to execute your survey on the site. So likewise, these things, this is now you can say, again, this is not part of an academics, and this is not something which has been uh, defined and accepted by everybody, but this is very rational and logical thing, and we have obtained good results on site when we try to find out the item markers, as we discussed on the other day, the burus, the circular stone piling, and the iron with the stone ledge are there. So we can definitely find them, and this again will help the government agency. If they don't have these kind of data, they don't have these kind of access to the on site, because at times the site may be thickly vegetated and all like that. So we can just pinpoint a point and collect that point, and we can ask them to clean the site and get the survey done. So that way it helps. And again, You can come back to total session survey for collecting data, contouring everything, and execution. So this is one aspect of survey. This is also one aspect of survey. I'll show you one or two more drawings actually. Okay, I'll show you. This is a uh, drawing of a devasthan in that is what can say temple and their belonging at Gondavle in Maharashtra. Now you can see the number of buildings here.
बोला बोला.
Now you can see uh, like any company, any institute, any land, any institute or anybody holding a land parcel, he always needs to have an updated drawing. Why I'm showing you this drawing? This drawing has been prepared over a period of say 5 to 6 years. I mean, we have done the very initial survey of this Gondavle Savsthan. Then we have collected all the data, and from time to time, when they have made any kind of development, they have asked us to come back and collect the data and update the drawing. Now, this is not done by everybody, but this is a very standard practice, and the practice why it is very useful because then every time you are aware of how much construction you can do, how much FSI or how much area is available with you. It is not possible every time to do a master planning of the entire area what you're holding. So sometimes you start developing as per your requirements. So this total station data, whatever we are collecting and whatever we are preparing the drawing, it keeps on changing. It keeps on adding the things what has been developed over a period of time. So this again is a it is only possible with the total station survey or nowadays with drone survey because then you have a network of control points well maintained in the site and you have entire boundary. So every time you go, then the job becomes very easier and it's a very small job at that time. You don't have to go all along with the again for the plot boundary and the entire area. So likewise, these drawings have been useful. The total station has been very useful in preparing, collecting the data and preparing those drawings. Again, when we do any assignment or anything in the college for students, then when the drawing from that data is prepared, we must also tell them the what is the possible. You can even ask them rather than telling them what are the possible uses of that data they can make out from the drawing, and then you can then once they come up with some of their answers, then we can tell them all the other possibilities. So once they understand that these are the things we can get from the total station, then they become more and more aware of its utility. So total session survey, as I told you, even the technology has advanced, even the means and ways of survey have been changed, and more area can be covered. Still, the total session is inevitable as we have to do some work on the ground. May it be a construction site for a residential area or commercial area, may it be railway lines, may it be roads, may it be canals, irrigation, everywhere, bridges. Total station, you cannot rule out use of total station because total station is definitely going to help there. So I have shared you these drawings and I have shared you my experiences and my requirement of total session. I would suggest or I would request you all to have some of your, I mean, I will start some interaction also with you so that some drawings can also be discussed with those kind of inquiries or those kind of problems. So every day we just give 15 to 20 minutes. I would rather like to spend some more time so that I get some feedback or some inquiries or some requirements from you, and then we can based on the drawings, if you can explain you with the available drawing. That would make the things more and more clear. So I would request you to put up your questions or put up your requirements or any inquiries regarding this. I will, in the meantime, I will show you some more drawings also till I get anything from your end. I can also show you one more drawing in our area. It's a hillock. We call it Parvati. So we again have establishments on top of that, and these are all the way steps, all the way starting from top to the bottom. So again, I mean these drawings, these datas are were never available with them. I mean, every time it so happens that generally that all these things are available at a starting point, and once everything is complete, then they are just kept aside and nobody looks for them. Nobody goes through those drawings. Nobody look for that data. So again, nowadays with total session, this also becomes a frequent thing, and you don't have to really worry about how to how to take that data, how to go about it. If it is not there, you can very well generate it at any given point of time. So likewise, these drawings are there. I also share with you a few more drawings. Okay. Again, this is one drawing where we have collected the plantation and given them the number. And as I've shown you the other day, all those trees have been marked properly. You can see here numbers and different what you can say markings for nomenclature for them. So it is that the entire plot development is there. You can see it here also. So this is how the data and the representation of data is done in AutoCAD. One more drawing I would like to show you. This particular site is in Mahabaleshwar, and as you can see, it has almost 8,000 trees within the plot. See it here. You can see how the cottages are placed. This is for a hotel chain in Pune, and you really cannot make out from the drawing that, but there are 8,000 trees almost there. And the problem at these locations that it's a very heavy, it's a hill station, and very heavy for rainfall occurs every year. So whatever the numbers you put on the trees, they are covered by the bark of the tree as the bark grows every time. So this becomes sort of a recurring affair on the site to maintain the number of trees, and it's a say, eco-sensitive zone. So you really cannot cut any tree. So if you can see it here, all the open spaces have been utilized for these kind of cottages, And then even if any tree is there, I mean they have changed their shape and their size to a certain extent on site. So anybody have any questions? I would like to discuss them in coordination with the drawings if possible. So if you can put up your questions, it would be better. I'll keep showing you few drawings again. You can see the whole layout has been superimposed on our drawing, survey drawing, and ready for marking. Now, this project is complete and is in use for so many years now. This DLF Akurti Park, as they usually earlier called it. So you can see it here. So the very prime requirement of using total station for the time of setting out is that whenever you are using the total station, you need to have the drawing superimposed on survey drawing by the architect. And then when we work in close coordination with the architect, then we avoid few things mentioned on the drawing. Normally, they have a tendency to mention a start point and call it as a 0 0, which is normally the basis of any center line drawing. But when we are working, as you know, that we are working with say 1,000, 1,000, 100, or 10,000, 10,000, 100, likewise with the coordinates, depending upon the size of the site. So at that time, these things become very redundant. And normally, when these people come to site, they tend to check with these kind of coordinates. I mean, they insist that you should use these coordinates. Now we avoid that because then we want the drawing to be aligned to our coordinates. Now again, as you can see, every time whenever you are starting a site with total station, you should put the coordinates in such a way that everything falls in the first quadrant. That is, all the coordinates should be plus plus and not plus minus, minus plus, or minus minus. Now again, it is not a standard thing, but then it is of the convenience for the surveyor who is going to be working on the site. So as if we can explain you, if I can just randomly select any point here and give you a coordinate of that, you can see 889.114 here and 916.239 here. So this is in first quadrant. Now, if you say where is your 0 comma 0, so it is somewhere here. Now this 0 comma 0, my 0 comma 0 is here, and the architect may put 0 comma 0 somewhere else. Okay, so we have to make them understand that this 0 comma 0 and your 0 comma 0 has no relevance. So all these coordinates are purely relative coordinates unless you are using a DGPS coordinates, that is a lat long, what we call it. So we normally call them easting northing, but otherwise you have to call them lat long and the elevation. So as you understand that this 0 0, so working in close coordination with architect is also equally important. So these are all aspects which will define the work using which total station. So again, the person who is an engineer or a diploma holder, he may not be necessarily every time is working with the total station, but he has to ask the architect to give a coordinate in such a way that it becomes easier for the surveyor to work on site. Because whenever these people come, then as you know, we can get the facility of the from the total station. You can get the horizontal distance, tilting distance, inclined distance, that means horizontal angle, vertical angle, everything you get from that total station data. Even you can get a distance between any 2 points. If you feed the coordinates, then you can get the tire distance between any 2 points. Now, how it is useful? It is useful when you check the setback for a particular site. I mean, what you can say, from structure face to the compound wall. So setback from front, side margins, front margin, back margin. If you are right into that excavated area, which is about say 7 8 meter below, and you cannot really measure with the tape, then if you demarcate those 2 points, set out those 2 points in the pit itself and one on the compound wall, then you can just check the distance. What is the distance between horizontal distance between these 2 points? So likewise, there are utilities of tokenization which are directly can be of use on site also in these kind of works. You can also get but there is a function called as remote height. Now, if I want to take height of a tree, how can I get the height of a tree? Or if I want to take height of a building without going to the top of the building, then there is a function of say remote height, just like we do it with theodolite also, so that with that angle you can work out the height based with the available distance, and then the same principle is there. So you can get that remote height of a tree also. So whenever we are doing survey, a tree survey or survey with emphasis more and more on trees, then there you can get these kind of height fairly accurate with total station. Again, the height of the building also can be worked out by bisecting the top edge and the bottom edge, and with the remote height function you can get that height also. So these are the advantages of using total station. And again, you can explore these advantages. And you can develop your own utilities with total station also. I mean, as I explained you earlier also, your imagination is the limit. So whatever you can think about it, and whatever you can see, that okay, whether this can be done by total station, yes, you can definitely do it by total station. So, anybody with any questions?
Hello, sir. Please come again, sir. Right. Yes, sir.
हो. हो, मी बघतोय कोणाचं काही क्वेश्चन्स येतात का म्हणून थांबलोय थोडं. एक 10 15 मिनिट, कारण काय आता माझ्याकडनं बहुतेक सगळं सांगून.
Any question regarding this session? Participants? All the participants are requested to fill the overall feedback form and session feedback form. Okay, we will conclude this session. I, on the behalf of our institute, I mention my words of thanks to R.M. Deshpande sir for sharing their knowledge about various case studies of total station and having a continuous support in faculty development program. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Have a nice day to you, sir. There is
Thank you.
one
Thank you, everybody.
there is one announcement for the participants. Today we are having assessment test which will be start at 3 p.m. Right now we will share the link of examination, but it will start at 3 p.m. and will close at 4:30 p.m. Thank you everyone, and best wishes for the assessment test. Uh, The link will be start at 3 p.m. and it will close at 4:30 p.m. Assessment test link. Any query regarding the assessment test? 1 hour, 1 hour. Actually, this is a MCQ test.